Welcome back to another episode of What If Naruto Had a Big Brother? In this alternate Naruto universe, one small twist changes everything. What if Naruto wasn't alone? What if he grew up with someone stronger, smarter, and born to rewrite destiny itself? Today, we dive deeper into the story of Kaito Uzumaki, Naruto's powerful older brother whose existence shakes the entire Shinobi world. New alliances form, new enemies rise, and the future of Konoha may never be the same again. So sit back, relax, and get ready, because this episode is about to change everything. Mangetsu barely managed to regain his footing, boots skidding harshly across the torn arena floor until he forced himself to a shaky stop. His breath came out ragged, chest rising and falling with effort. But before he could even steady himself, Kaito was already there, appearing in front of him in a blur, ramen bowl still balanced in one hand as if the entire fight were nothing but a casual stroll. "It's kinda getting boring, why I know," Kaito said, voice light, almost disappointed. "Sorry, but I think it's time to end this." Before Mangetsu could even twitch, the air around Kaito ignited with power. A sharp crack split the arena. Red lightning erupted from Kaito's body like a living storm, furious arcs lashing outward in every direction. The ground trembled beneath the violent discharge. Kaito's voice carried calmly over the roaring electricity. "Red lightning, Nagashi." The lightning struck Mangetsu instantly. His body jerked violently, not once, but repeatedly, as the red current tore through him. His watery physiology only made it worse. Every arc sank deeper, dispersing through his body faster, more devastatingly, than it would with any other opponent. Mangetsu convulsed, his form flickering between liquid and solid as he desperately tried to endure it. But he couldn't. The lightning swallowed him whole, and with a final, agonized spasm, the boy was blasted backward. His body hit the ground in a half-liquid sprawl before reforming just enough to slump unconscious, unmoving. The mist finally cleared, leaving only silence and Mangetsu's defeated form sprawled across the drenched battlefield. Kaito stood over him, completely unbothered, ramen bowl still in hand as if nothing extraordinary had happened. He took a loud, satisfied slurp. Rado landed beside him, eyes wide in disbelief before narrowing into something between irritation and reluctant amusement. "Cocky brat," he muttered under his breath. But he still raised his arm. "The winner is Kaito Uzumaki." The arena exploded into cheers just as Kaito tipped back the bowl, draining the last of the broth with a satisfied sigh. Then a blur slammed into him. "Kai!" Hotaru tackled him in a fierce hug before immediately pulling back and bonking him hard on the head. "Ouch. That hurt. Why I know, why is everyone always hitting me?" Kaito winced, rubbing the sore spot. Hotaru puffed her cheeks, turning away in a flustered huff. "You deserved it. For scaring all of us like that." Before Kaito could respond, Medicnin rushed past them, lifting Mangetsu's unconscious, twitching form onto a stretcher. Up in the stands, Mai Terumi watched the entire battle unfold with calculating, unsettled eyes. "Konoha truly has some terrifying genin," she thought as Mangetsu was carried away. First Utakata, now even Mangetsu. And the boy wasn't even fighting seriously. Her breath caught for just a moment. What monster will he grow into? A worthy heir of the fourth Hokage, no doubt. Nearby, Kushina cheered with both relief and pride, wiping the last of her earlier tears away. Naruto jumped up and down so aggressively that Shikamaru had to pry him off. "Woo! Kaito Nissen won." Naruto then grabbed Hinata in his excitement, only for her to faint immediately in his arms, turning limp. Kushina, Mikoto, and Hitomi burst into laughter at the sight while Naruto panicked. Shikamaru groaned, pinching the bridge of his nose. Troublesome blondes. Neji's Byakugan activated instantly. "Naruto, what did you do to Hinata-sama?" "I didn't do anything. She just passed out." Hitomi leaned forward with a soft smile. "She's not hurt, Naruto-kun. She just fell asleep. Place her in the seat gently." Naruto nodded frantically, carefully positioning her so her head rested on his shoulder. Neji adjusted her posture, still glaring daggers at him. Meanwhile, Hayashi's glare swept furiously between Naruto holding Hinata and Hotaru hugging Kaito on the arena floor. Hisashi gently patted his brother's shoulder with a smirk. "Seems you'll have 2 Uzumaki boys in your family someday." "Shut up," Hayashi muttered. Up at the top rows, Kakashi didn't even look up from his copy of Isha Isha, while Tenzo whistled in admiration. That Hazuki kid never stood a chance. And the clone trick? Genius. Kakashi hummed lazily. Knowing Kaito, he probably really was eating during all of that. Back on the field, Kaito scratched his cheek sheepishly as he confessed, "I was hungry, no. I wasn't about to let my clone waste the food." Rado sighed tiredly as Mangetsu was lifted away. "If you two are done flirting," he said flatly, "I'd like to move on to the next match." Hotaru turned bright red. "We weren't flirting." Kaito blinked at him. "We are 9. Turning 10. You're weird." He gently patted Hotaru's head. "Good luck, Hotaru-chan." Then he flickered away toward the waiting area. As Rado announced the next match, Chojuro walked past Kaito, swallowing nervously. He beat Mangetsu while eating. He took his place against Hotaru, Rado raising his hand. "Hajime." Back in the waiting area, Itachi raised a questioning brow as Kaito returned with a scroll full of sweets. "Where were you?" "Eating," Kaito replied, offering him dango. "Clone couldn't waste the food." Itachi nodded knowingly. "Kushina-san didn't take it well." Kaito sighed, face falling a little. "I know. I'll make it up to her." Their eyes drifted back to the arena, where Hotaru and Chojuro had already clashed in a blur of steel and chakra, the fight unfolding rapidly. Hotaru's lungs burned as the crushing pressure of the water prison constricted around her. Every movement felt like she was pushing against a mountain of liquid. Her clothes clung to her skin, her hair drifting weightlessly around her face. The world outside the sphere seemed blurred and distant. She grit her teeth, forcing her breathing to steady for just a moment. Focus. Think. Activating her Byakugan, her pale eyes sharpened immediately. Chakra pathways, distortions, and weaknesses lit up like cracks in a glass orb. There, just a faint distortion in the chakra that sustained the prison. "Found you." Gathering what chakra she could muster, Hotaru pressed her palm precisely against that faint point and injected a burst of chakra into it. The water prison shattered with a loud whump, collapsing onto the arena floor in a rush of water. Chojuro's eyes widened in shock, completely unprepared. Hotaru didn't hesitate. Her feet blurred across the wet ground as she closed the distance. Chojuro tried to leap away, but he was a moment too slow. 2 palms. Her strikes landed with pinpoint accuracy. 4 palms. Her movements grew faster. 8 palms. 16 palms. Each hit stole more of Chojuro's chakra, his defenses collapsing under the onslaught. 32 palms. And finally, Hotaru pivoted gracefully, her palms glowing faintly as she delivered the last flurry. 8 trigrams, 64 palms. The final strike sent Chojuro flying backward, skidding across the drenched arena until he lay unmoving, unconscious. Hotaru remained still for a moment, her chest rising and falling sharply. Water dripped from her hair, sliding down her cheeks, mixing with the sweat and exhaustion burning her muscles. Slowly she released a breath and deactivated her Byakugan. "That took a lot more chakra than I expected," she thought, her legs trembling slightly. Breaking out of the water prison and immediately executing the full 64 palms had pushed her close to her limit. Rado appeared beside her with a swift leap. After glancing at the unconscious Chojuro, he raised his arm high. Winner of the match, Hotaru Hyuga. The stadium erupted. The cheers washed over her like a wave. Applause, whistles, shouts of admiration. Hotaru allowed herself a small, exhausted smile. She bowed slightly, then began walking back toward the waiting area, towel-damp hair plastered against her cheeks and neck. Up in the stands, Kushina shot to her feet, pumping her fist into the air. "Utter girl, Hotaru-chan." You showed him who's boss." Her voice carried loudly enough that several nearby spectators jumped. She wrapped Hitomi into a gleeful hug. "I was so worried when she got caught in that water prison. Why I know." Hitomi smiled warmly. "She scared me too. But she's smart, she figured a way out." At that moment, Naruto's loud cheering woke Hinata from her faint. He leaned close. "Hinata-chan. You okay? You just missed it. Hotorune was super cool, believe it." Hinata blinked sleepily, then turned to the field just in time to see her older sister walking away. "Oh, I missed it," she murmured sadly. Neja leaned in to reassure her. "You can watch a recording later, Hinata-sama." Hayashi, arms folded, exhaled through his nose, pride radiating off him in waves. Hisashi glanced over with a smirk. "She's a prodigy." Even letting her guard down didn't stop her. She analyzed the water prison and broke free. Hayashi nodded once. She underestimated him, but recovered perfectly. Further down, Choza whistled. "I really thought she'd lose." Inoichi shook his head in amazement. "First time I've ever seen someone break a water prison alone." Shikaku rested his chin on his hand. Byakugan saw the weak point. Gentle Fist exploited it. Efficient as expected. Waiting area. As Hotaru entered, soaked clothes clinging to her, Kaito immediately waved her over with a grin and ran up to meet her. "That was awesome, Hotaru-chan," he said brightly. He rummaged through a ceiling scroll, unsealing a soft towel and wrapping it around her shoulders. "Here, dry off before you catch a cold, ya no." Hotaru smiled shyly. "Thank you, Kai-kun." Itachi approached with his calm nod. "Well done. Breaking the prison was impressive." Before Hotaru could respond, Reido's voice boomed across the arena. "Itachi Uchiha and C of Kumogakure, report to the field." Itachi straightened. "My fight is up next. I'll see you both later." Kaito slapped his shoulder lightly. "Good luck, Itachi." Hotaru chimed in. "Good luck, Itachi-kun." As Itachi departed, Kaito motioned Hotaru to the railing. "Come on, let's watch." He unsealed a fresh batch of dango and passed one to her with a playful grin. Hotaru accepted eagerly. On the arena floor, Chojuro had been carried off, and Reido called out, "Itachi Uchiha and C of Kumogakure, please step forward." Moments later, the two stood before him, Itachi calm and unreadable, C poised and serious. "Hajime." C immediately leapt back, hurling a barrage of kunai and shuriken. Itachi drew his tanto, deflecting them effortlessly as he closed in. Steel clashed. Sparks flew. Itachi's precision overwhelmed C, who barely managed to block before being swept off his feet and kicked across the arena. Desperately activating the explosive tags he'd hidden earlier, C detonated the ground around Itachi, but Itachi flickered out, reappearing further away with his arms shielding his face. C quickly formed a lightning shadow clone and launched lightning ball attacks. Itachi dodged narrowly, until one struck him squarely, exploding into a cascade of lightning. But the Itachi hit was only a substitution. The real Itachi appeared above the smoke, weaving signs. Fire style, Phoenix Flower Jutsu. Flaming shuriken rained down. The clone burst apart, dissipating into sparks of lightning. Using the distraction, Itachi rushed in again. His Sharingan whirled. C retreated, then launched. Lightning style, Thunderbolt. The bolt struck Itachi, but he dissolved into a swirl of crows. Before C could react, Itachi rematerialized behind him, twisting his arm and slamming him to the ground with perfect execution. His tanto pressed coldly to the back of C's neck. The fight was over. C barely had time to register the movement before Itachi's body blurred. The tanto cut toward him in an elegant arc, the Sharingan predicting every twitch of his muscles before he even made them. C gritted his teeth, raising his kunai desperately to block, but the pressure behind Itachi's strike pushed him back step by step. He could feel the gap in their skill widening like a chasm beneath his feet. Forced onto the defensive, C hopped back, forming a rapid sequence of hand seals. Lightning crackled violently between his palms as he thrust both hands forward, shouting, "Lightning style, thunderbolt!" Bolts of lightning exploded outward, tearing through the air and streaking toward Itachi faster than most could track. The lightning struck cleanly. Or at least it seemed to. The figure of Itachi in front of him dissolved in an instant into a swirling murder of crows, scattering in all directions with a shrill chorus of caws. CS eyes widened, his pulse spiking. He barely managed to spin around before a hand clamped down on his wrist from behind. Itachi twisted CS' arm with clinical precision, driving him face first into the ground. The tanto found its place at the nape of CS' neck, cold, unmoving, and absolute. "Please forfeit," Itachi said quietly, as if the fight was already long over. Rado landed beside them just then, taking one glance at the scene. His voice boomed across the arena, "The winner is Itachi Uchiha." The crowd erupted like a storm breaking open, cheers and applause rolling through the stands. Itachi released CS' arm without ceremony and rose to his feet, sliding his tanto back into its sheath with calm ease. C pushed himself up slowly, flexing his wrist, a quiet, bitter thought lingering in his mind. I never stood a chance against him. Rado then announced a 10-minute break, prompting people to stand, stretch, and chatter excitedly about the match they had just witnessed. The arena hummed with rising anticipation for whatever would come next. Up in the stands, Fugaku watched with a faint, controlled smirk, the pride in his eyes unmistakable. "Well done, Itachi." That was an Uchiha's victory, he thought as Mikoto's soft smile brightened beside him. Kushina practically bounced in her seat, clapping vigorously. "Well done, Itachi-kun. That was amazing, why no?" Sasuke puffed up with pride beside her. "That's my big brother." Naruto, wide-eyed, leaned toward Shikamaru. "Whoa, how did Itachi and I turn into crows like that?" Shikamaru sighed as if it were obvious. It was a substitution mixed with genjutsu. Kushina mused aloud. "So will the finals be a three-way fight? Kaito, Itachi, and Hotaru?" Mikoto hummed thoughtfully beside her. Hitomi nodded. "I've never seen a three-way match before." Fugaku cut in without looking away from his son. "There has never been one." Kushina frowned. "But that's not fair. Why no, someone will have to fight twice." "Shinobi battles aren't fair," Fugaku said calmly. "Endurance and adaptability are part of the test." Shisui sat further along the row, smiling faintly. "Well done, Itachi." Behind them, the Uchiha police force members erupted with enthusiasm. "Way to go, Itachi. Truly the heir of the Uchiha." Down in the waiting area, Itachi returned to find Kaito and Hotaru waiting. Kaito slung an arm around him immediately. "You were awesome out there, Itachi. Looks like the three of us made it." They discussed the possibility of a three-way match until Rado appeared, clearing his throat. "Not exactly," he said, drawing their attention. "We will have a preliminary match before the final." Kaito blinked. "Huh? What do you mean?" "Two of you will fight. The winner will face the last contestant. Kaito Uzumaki will face Hotaru Hyuga. The winner will then fight Itachi Uchiha." Kaito turned to Hotaru at once, confused. "Wait, Hotaru-chan, are you falling next to me or something?" Before he could finish, Hotaru quietly raised her hand. "I will forfeit." Kaito stared at her in disbelief. "What? Why?" Hotaru's tone remained calm but honest. "I don't have the chakra for two more fights. Breaking the water prison took too much out of me. And if we fight now, neither of us will be at full strength against Itachi. You both want that fight. And I think I've shown enough to be promoted." Kaito hesitated, conflicted, but the sincerity in her voice softened him. "Are you sure?" Hotaru smiled. "Hi, I'm sure." Rado nodded. "Then the final will begin shortly. You have 5 minutes." Hotaru pulled both boys into a tight hug. "Good luck, you two. And please, don't kill each other." Kaito and Itachi exchanged a glance before following Rado toward the arena entrance. Up in the stands, Hotaru sat beside her father. Hayashi turned to her. "You forfeited." "I made the best choice I could," she answered quietly. "I didn't have enough chakra left." "You chose wisely," Hayashi said with a rare, approving nod. Down on the arena floor, Rado stepped forward once more, the crowd falling silent. The final match will now begin. Since Hotaru Hyuga has forfeited, the final battle will be between Kaito Uzumaki and Itachi Uchiha. The arena erupted as both boys stepped onto the field. Kaito cracked his neck. "Hey, Itachi, how about a bet?" Itachi looked at him calmly. "What kind of bet?" "The loser buys the winner their favorite food for a month." "Oh hi." Rado's eyes flicked between them. "Are you both ready?" The air grew electric as they locked eyes. With a sharp breath, Rado raised his hand and shouted, "Hajime." Kaito rolled his shoulders loose, unable to contain the excitement bubbling in his chest. "How about a bet, Itachi?" he called out, the grin on his face far too confident for someone about to face an Uchiha prodigy. Itachi's expression barely shifted, just the faint narrowing of his eyes. "And what is the bet?" he asked, voice calm, steady, as if nothing could faze him. Kaito's grin only widened. "Loser treats the winner for a whole month. Their favorite food." Itachi accepted without hesitation. "Hi." Rado watched the exchange with a raised brow. "Are you both ready?" Neither answered verbally, they simply met each other's eyes, the air around them crackling with anticipation, and nodded at the same time. They raised their right hands and formed the seal of confrontation. Rado took one step back, then vanished in a flicker. "Hajime." No sooner had the word echoed than Itachi's Sharingan spun to life, and he shot forward like a drawn arrow. The collision was instant. Their wrists met mid-charge, sparks flying from the impact of chakra-enhanced strength. They ricocheted apart, only to lunge straight back in. Kaito threw a jab toward Itachi's face. Itachi dipped under, his counter-uppercut slicing upward like a blade. Kaito arched back, knee rising for Itachi's gut, but Itachi caught it, planted a foot on Kaito's knee, and used him as leverage to flip over him. Kaito flipped back, landing lightly, only for Itachi to descend with an axe kick. Kaito caught the leg midair and hurled Itachi backward. Itachi rotated cleanly, landing in a crouch just as Kaito flickered in front of him again. They clashed in a rapid storm, fists, elbows, kicks, each block flowing into the next strike. Itachi caught Kaito's fist and twisted, flipping him over, only for Kaito to rotate midair and land like a cat, already countering. Itachi intercepted his left fist, fingers forming a quick hand sign as his leg lashed out. Kaito raised his knee to block, and Itachi stepped right onto it, lifting himself higher. Kaito's punch shot toward Itachi's gut, but Itachi caught that too, anchoring himself by bracing a foot on Kaito's shoulder. Kaito groaned internally. Not this again. And then Itachi was airborne, hands forming the tiger seal. Fire style, fireball jutsu. But not one. 3 massive fireballs erupted from his mouth in rapid succession. Kaito weaved through them with near-reckless grace, the explosions behind him shaking the ground. Itachi was already in motion, pulling kunai midair and flinging them in a wide arc. Before they even landed, he threw a second wave, striking the first kunai mid-flight. The barrage curved around, raining toward Kaito from every direction. The kunai slammed into Kaito's form. Or would have, if he hadn't flickered out of existence. Kaito reappeared above Itachi, tanto already drawn, descending in a sharp slash. Itachi bent back impossibly, hand flashing to his own blade. The metallic clash rang out, and the rhythm of their movements surged into something almost too fast to follow. Mid-exchange, Itachi's blade swept straight through Kaito's torso, and Kaito shimmered, appearing centimeters away from his own afterimage. Kaito's leg snapped out with blinding speed toward Itachi's stomach, at the same time grabbing the wrist holding Itachi's tanto. But Itachi's Sharingan saw everything. His knee rose, blocking the kick, and his other foot slammed into Kaito's hand, sending Kaito's tanto spiraling into the air. Itachi leaned back, pulling Kaito with him, then flipped him overhead in a clean, chakra-assisted throw, right toward the direction the Tanto had flown. Mid-flight, Kaito spotted the blade. He twisted, chakra bursting at his feet, catching the air, then reached out and snatched the Tanto mid-spin. Red lightning crackled along the blade as he channeled his chakra into it, the metal humming violently. With a sharp twist of his hips, he hurled the glowing Tanto at Itachi like a bolt of crimson lightning. Itachi tilted his body at the last second, the blade slamming into the ground behind him. But the moment his gaze flicked to the embedded weapon, Kaito formed a half-tiger seal. His form flickered, then vanished. And the next instant he was behind Itachi, exactly where the Tanto had landed, while the thrown blade now hung suspended in the air where Kaito had been. Itachi barely managed to widen his eyes before Kaito's spinning kick slammed into his stomach, sending him skidding across the ground in a tumble of dust and torn earth. His own Tanto flew from his grip as he hit the ground hard. He righted himself, gasping, trying to process what had just happened. What was that? How did he appear behind me so quickly? That wasn't substitution. It was too fast. Too clean. The stadium buzzed with disbelief. Up in the stands, Naruto leapt to his feet. Sugoi. Kaito nii is awesome. Hinata-chan, did you see that? He just, boom, appeared and sent Itachi nii flying. Hinata blushed, nodding shyly as Naruto flailed around trying to reenact the move. The adults, however, wore far darker expressions. Hayashi and Hisashi exchanged glances, stunned. Fugaku's face tightened, the resemblance unmistakable. That technique, that speed. Shikaku analyzed silently. That wasn't Hiraishin. He didn't appear at his blade until after he threw it. So what was that? Hotaru's eyes widened. Was that a substitution jutsu? Kushina laughed softly. That wasn't a substitution technique, Hotaru-chan. Mikoto leaned closer. Was it the Hiraishin no jutsu? Kushina smirked. Nope. And that's all I'm saying. Back on the field, Itachi's hands blurred through seals. The water pooled beneath Kaito's feet surged upward in spiraling drills. Kaito scoffed, inhaling sharply. Water fang bullet. Huh? Not bad. He stomped down, forming two hand seals. Earth-style, multi-mud wall. 4 thick walls erupted around him, blocking each water drill perfectly. When the last one shattered, Kaito lowered the walls and smirked at Itachi. You didn't really think that would hit me, did you? Itachi smiled faintly, then inhaled deeply, forming a half-ram. Fire-style, great fireball jutsu. A blazing sphere twice the size of the earlier fireballs roared toward Kaito. Kaito mirrored the seal. Water release, water formation wall. The massive collision exploded into a storm of mist, swallowing the battlefield entirely. But beneath the fog, Kaito felt a rumble. His instincts screamed. He leapt back just as Itachi burst from underground, fist rocketing upward. Kaito landed, only for his feet to sink slightly. Sticky. Heavy. Syrup trap. Before he could tear free, multiple shuriken trailed by ninja wire wrapped around his limbs, pinning him completely. Itachi flickered behind him, kunai at Kaito's neck. I win, Itachi said in a quiet, assured tone. Kaito smirked. You think so? His body burst into white smoke. Itachi froze as black markings crawled up his limbs, locking every muscle in place. A paralysis seal. Kaito flickered into existence behind him, kunai resting on Itachi's neck. Nah, he said with a wide grin. I think I won, Itachi. Before Kaito could react, shuriken wrapped with ninja wire shot toward him through the thinning mist. They struck the ground around him in quick succession, the wires snapping taut and binding his arms and legs. Within seconds, he was pinned, unable to move, unable to dodge, completely exposed. Itachi flickered behind him, kunai pressed lightly against the base of Kaito's neck. A small, almost smug smirk tugged at the corner of his lips. I win, he declared calmly. Kaito only smirked back. You think so? His body burst into a puff of white smoke, a perfect clone. Itachi's eyes widened a fraction before his body suddenly locked up. Dark, intricate sealing marks crawled up his skin like living ink, freezing his muscles completely. In a flicker, the real Kaito appeared behind him, kunai resting casually against the side of Itachi's throat. "Nah," he said with a wide grin. "I think I win, Itachi." With a triumphant smirk, Kaito pulled the kunai away and stepped back. The paralysis seal still wrapped around Itachi pulsed faintly along his limbs. Rado landed beside them, eyes widening slightly at the fuinjutsu markings binding the Uchiha Prodigy. Seeing Itachi unable to continue, he raised his arm toward Kaito. The winner of the Chunin exams, Kaito Uzumaki. The arena erupted instantly. Cheers, shouts, applause crashing like a wave across the stadium. Kaito formed a half-ram seal, releasing the paralysis. The black markings dissolved into thin wisps of chakra, freeing Itachi. Itachi exhaled slowly, rolling his shoulder as he stood, kunai still in hand. "When did you place the seal on me?" he asked, face composed but disappointment carefully masked beneath his tone. He had hoped, no, expected, to close the distance between their abilities. Yet Kaito had once again proven to be several steps ahead. And Itachi knew it. He also knew Kaito wasn't using his full strength. Kaito scratched the back of his head sheepishly. "When you used me as a springboard." Itachi nodded once. "You win this time. Next time, I won't fall for the same trick." Kaito snorted. "You keep saying that. But I still have the lead by 10. He held a hand out teasingly. Itachi frowned lightly. That time atop the waterfall doesn't count. Their rivalry, friendly but fierce, marked the close of the Chunin exam finals. Up in the stands, Kushina was on her feet instantly. "That's my baby boy. Way to go, Kai-kun. Why no?" Her voice practically rattled the entire sector. Mikoto smiled beside her, amused. "No offense, Mikoto. I love Itachi-kun too." Mikoto waved her concern off with a warm smile. "Don't worry. I understand. I'd have been the same if Itachi had one." Naruto whooped loudly, grabbing Shikamaru in an overly tight hug. "Yeah! Kaito-Nisan won." Shikamaru groaned. "Get off me. Troublesome." Naruto spun to Hinata, buzzing with excitement. "Did you see that, Hinata-chan? Kainai totally won." He jumped around, flailing dramatically as he mimicked Kaito's moves. Hinata nodded gently, cheeks warm, happy for them all. Then Naruto whirled around to Sasuke with a smug grin. "Hey, what was that you said? That Itachi and I would win? Guess what? Kaito and I won. My brother's stronger than yours. Just like I'm stronger than you. Believe it." Sasuke bristled instantly. He only won because he cheated with that seal. If they fought fair, Itachi and I would have won. And you aren't stronger than me. Naruto stomped forward. Fuinjutsu isn't cheating. And Kainai didn't even need to use it to win. Hinata quickly stepped in, voice soft. Please, don't fight." Neji, who had been watching silently, deactivated his Byakugan. His expression tightened. Kaito was holding back. Fugaku's stern voice cut through the brewing argument. "Enough, Sasuke." Sasuke stiffened. "Itachi lost fairly. Let this teach you not to underestimate Fuinjutsu." Sasuke bit his tongue, glaring downward. Fugaku's eyes returned to the field, thoughtful. Kaito Uzumaki, holding back as if Itachi wasn't even a challenge. A chill ran down his spine. Elsewhere in the stands, Shisui stared at the field, awe and calculation swirling in his eyes. Kaito was holding back. Itachi knew it. That boy, he might already be stronger than me. Nearby, Kakashi closed his Isha with a snap. "Well, that's that." Tenzo blinked. "Captain, you noticed it too? That Kaito held back the whole exams." Kakashi sighed lazily. Yep. Itachi gave him a good match, but Kaito's nowhere near Itachi's level. He's much, much further. Tenzo frowned. You're exaggerating. Kakashi shook his head. No. Won't be long before he surpasses me. Back on the field. Kaito looked to Rado. So, what now? Rado nodded toward the cage box. We wait. The Hokage will address everyone. Hiruzen's voice boomed moments later, praising the participants' efforts and officially closing the exams. Rado approached again. You two can go. Report to the Hokage's office tomorrow. Kaito nodded. Right. Better not keep Mom waiting. She'll kill me. Why no? In a flicker, Kaito vanished. Itachi followed behind. Up in the stands. As soon as Kaito appeared near the family seating, Kushina crashed into him with a bone-crushing hug. You were amazing, Kai-kun. Your father would be so proud. Naruto immediately tackled him after. Kaito nii. Please train me. Kaito smiled, ruffling Naruto's hair. All right, Naruto. We start tomorrow. Hope you ready. Itachi arrived moments later, greeted warmly by Kushina and Mikoto. Fugaku gave a single approving nod. Well done, Itachi. Hotaru rushed forward and hugged both boys. You were incredible, she said warmly. And congratulations, Kai-kun. Kaito grinned. Thanks, Hotaru-chan. You were amazing too. Honestly, you might have won if you didn't forfeit. Hotaru shook her head shyly. I doubt that. Shikaku approached the trio. All three of you performed excellently. The village is proud. We'll discuss promotions tomorrow. Meet at the Hokage Tower. Usual spot. Hi, sensei. Kushina clapped her hands excitedly. Let's celebrate. Why no? Hitomi and Mikoto agreed immediately. Yakiniku Q. Hitomi suggested. Hi, perfect, Mikoto said. She turned to Shikaku. You and Shikamaru should join us. Kushina pouted. I wanted ramen, but barbecue is good too. Shikaku sighed. Yoshino had already nodded enthusiastically. Looks like we are going. Kushina cheered. All right everyone, let's go celebrate. Why no? All the kids cheered and followed after her. Kushina enthusiastically added, yeah, you can't miss out on celebrating with us. She puffed her cheeks in a playful pout before mumbling, but I was thinking more along the lines of ramen, but barbecue is also great. Shikaku scratched the back of his head, clearly wanting to slip away and drink with Inoichi and Choza instead, but Yoshino's approving nod locked his fate in place. With a resigned sigh, he accepted the unavoidable. Kushina clapped her hands together with bright energy. All right then, it's settled. Let's go celebrate, why no? She cheered as all the kids jumped up and followed her in a noisy, eager pack. The sun cast warm specks of light over the village as a blur shot across the tree branches. Kaito, gliding effortlessly, with Naruto slumped over his back like a defeated sack of rice. The kid was completely drained, arms dangling uselessly after the brutal training session he had begged for. Kaito nii, you're so mean. Naruto cried dramatically as they reached the front porch. You practically tortured me. Kaito crouched down to set him on his feet and calmly untied one of Naruto's sandals. You were the one who begged me to train you, he reminded him with a raised brow. Or did you already give up being Hokage after one session? Naruto's lips trembled. Of course I didn't give up. But couldn't you teach me cool jutsu instead of drills? Kaito stood and slipped off his sandals. Learning jutsu without basics is dumb. And you need basics before anything else. He nudged Naruto's shoulder with quiet fondness before guiding him inside. Naruto plopped face first onto the living room floor like a corpse while Kaito remained standing above him. Kushina poked her head out from the kitchen, hair swaying and apron tied neatly around her waist. Welcome back, she beamed. Looks like you two had a productive day, why no? She stepped out and bent down toward Naruto. So, How was your first day of training under Kai-kun, Naru-chan? Naruto's eyes reddened again as he sniffled. Mama. Kaito and I bullied me. He made me do so many drills and shocked me whenever I took a tiny break. Kushina giggled behind her hand. Well, Naru-chan, you did ask him to train you. And besides, it'll make you strong like Kai-kun, no. Kaito folded his arms. If you keep whining, Sasuke's gonna surpass you and become Hokage instead. Naruto shot upright like lightning struck him. No way. I won't let that happen, Databayo. Kushina watched the exchange with sparkling amusement before turning to Kaito. So? How did Naru-chan do? He did well, Kaito said casually. He just whines too much. I do not whine. Kaito ignored him and waved toward the hallway. I'm going to take a bath. Kushina nodded. Breakfast is ready, so come quickly before it gets cold. Then she wagged her finger at Naruto. And you, mister, you have studying to do after you eat, no. Studying too. Naruto wailed dramatically, dragging his feet toward the bathroom. Kushina laughed softly as she watched him go. After washing up, Kaito entered the kitchen where Kushina was setting plates down. Come. I made tamagoyaki and miso soup, she said proudly. Kaito thanked her and began eating. Naruto soon plopped into the seat beside her, hair still damp, grumbling non-stop. Kushina tapped his head lightly. Slow down, you'll choke, no. After finishing his meal, Kaito glanced at the clock and stood. With a quick seal, he summoned a clone to handle the dishes and walked toward the door. Kushina followed him outside. Got everything you need? Hi. I might eat lunch with my friends. She handed him a small bento wrapped in a cute cloth. Takoyaki for later, she said with a smile, pulling him into a tight hug and kissing the top of his head. Good luck today. I hope you get promoted. Thanks, Mom. He hugged her back before taking off. He leapt into the trees, bouncing lightly from branch to branch until he reached the Hyuga compound. Hotaru wasn't out yet, so he leaned against the wall and lifted his hand. A Rasengan swirled into existence in his palm. He fed water chakra into it little by little, the sphere turning a deep blue and humming with the rush of liquid. Easier to keep stable, but less power, he murmured as it dissolved into a splash over his hand. Footsteps approached, and Hotaru emerged from the gate, her smile bright. Good morning, Kai-kun. I hope I didn't keep you waiting. No, I just got here. He held out the takoyaki box. Want some? She accepted one shyly as they walked. Soon, the Hokage tower loomed before them, and they spotted Itachi leaning against a tree, eyes closed like he hadn't a care in the world. Yo, Itachi. Been waiting long? Kaito called. Itachi opened his eyes lazily. No. Just arrived. Kaito offered him a skewer, which Itachi accepted with a nod of thanks. The three enjoyed the warm snacks until Shikaku finally strolled up. Good morning, sensei, they chorused. Right on time, he said, motioning for them to follow. Inside the Hokage's office, they bowed respectfully. Hiruzen rose from behind his mountain of paperwork, pipe smoke curling in the air, and welcomed them with a warm smile. Team 11, you have all performed exceptionally. One by one, he presented the vests, Itachi first, then Hotaru, then Kaito, praising each of them with sincerity and pride. All three bowed respectfully, hearts thudding with accomplishment. Afterward, Shikaku guided them to the barbecue shop. Their food arrived sizzling, and after a few bites, Shikaku finally sighed and leaned back. You three have surpassed every expectation I had. He praised each one personally, Kaito's creativity, Hotaru's unwavering resolve, Itachi's calm leadership. Then came the part none of them expected. As Chunin. I won't be your Jonin sensei anymore. Hotaru sank a little. Even Itachi's expression shifted subtly. Shikaku smiled gently. I'll join you on missions sometimes. But now, you're Shinobi who lead. After expressing their heartfelt thanks, they finished their meal and later climbed Hokage Mountain together. The three sat in peaceful silence, watching the village below, discussing their future. Eventually, they parted. Itachi went his own way, and Kaito walked Hotaru home, talking quietly about their first mission tomorrow. On the walk back through the village, Kaito's expression dimmed slightly. His thoughts drifted toward the Uchiha clan, toward how things had spiraled in the canon timeline soon after Itachi's Chunin exams. I don't know if anything's changed, or if things are already worse. He ran a hand through his hair, exhaled softly, and forced the tension out of his shoulders. I need to focus on what's in front of me, and keep getting stronger. With that quiet resolve, he continued down the leaf-speckled road toward home. From the peak, they gazed over the village below, their silhouettes outlined by the golden light of late afternoon. The three of them talked quietly about their future as Chunin, missions, goals, responsibilities, each of them filled with a quiet, earnest excitement. Eventually, as the sun dipped lower, Itachi stood and dusted off his pants. "I'll see you both tomorrow morning," he said softly. Hotaru and Kaito nodded. They had already agreed to meet at their usual training spot for their very first mission as official Chunin. After parting ways, Kaito walked Hotaru back to the Hyuga compound. Once she was safely inside, he began the stroll home alone. His pace slowed as his thoughts drifted toward the darker strands of memory from the canon timeline. In the manga, things only got worse for the Uchiha after Itachi's Chunin exams, he murmured to himself, exhaling long and tired. "I don't know how much I've changed already, or how much damage is still coming." He ran a hand through his hair and forced a steady breath. "No use worrying about the future. I just need to keep getting stronger." The afternoon sun stretched shadows across the forest floor as three figures darted through the trees, moving at top speed toward Konoha's gates. A final leap, and Kaito landed first with childish triumph, smirking as Itachi and Hotaru touched down behind him. "Well, I guess I won," he announced proudly. "Which means it's your treat this time, Hotaru-chan." Hotaru puffed her cheeks and turned away, refusing to dignify the statement. "Neither I nor Itachi-kun agreed to anything," she huffed. "You just ran off yelling that the loser pays." Itachi gave a quiet nod. "She's right." Kaito clicked his tongue dramatically. "Come on now, Hotaru-chan. It's an unspoken rule." She turned again, ignoring him entirely. Kaito pressed a hand to his chest in fake pain. "Oh, I see how it is. You two teamed up against me." Hotaru tossed him a mischievous smirk. "And what if we did?" Grumbling under his breath, Kaito hurried after them toward the check-in station. "Yo, Kotetsu-senpai, Izumo-senpai," he greeted with a cheerful wave. "How have you two been?" Kotetsu grinned. "Oh hey, Kaito. Survived another mission. Huh?" Izumo leaned forward curiously as Itachi handed over the mission form. "So? What mission this time?" Kaito signed the paperwork and returned the pen. "Just a normal B-rank escort mission." Kotetsu whistled low. "Must have been exciting. Meanwhile, we are stuck sitting here all day." As soon as the three finished signing, Izumo stamped the forms with a smile. "All right. You're all clear." "Thanks, senpai," Kaito called, tossing a small sealing scroll behind him without looking. Kotetsu caught it. "A scroll." Izumo leaned closer. "Open it." Kotetsu unsealed it, and two steaming bowls of ramen materialized on the desk. "OH!" both Chunin shouted at the same time, immediately diving in. "Itadakimasu." With the mission formally logged, Team 11 headed to the Hokage Tower to turn in their report. A clerk accepted the folder and nodded. "Your pay will be deposited into your accounts." With polite bows, they stepped back into the busy streets. Kaito stretched his arms above his head. "So? What now?" Itachi offered a tired smile. "I should head home. I promised Sasuke I'd train him." Hotaru rubbed her neck. "I just want a hot bath, and then sleep." Kaito nodded. "Since we were gone a week, we can rest for the next few days. Why no? They all agreed before parting with Itachi. Kaito then walked Hotaru toward her compound, stopping once to buy treats for Naruto, Kushina, Hotaru, and himself. They ate while walking, sharing quiet laughs. Months passed quickly after that. The three young Chunin took on mission after mission, many of them high-ranked, without Shikaku leading them. Their Jonin teacher only checked in occasionally, but his pride in them was clear every time. Kaito's progress had soared. He could now form a full-powered elemental Rasengan with one hand, mastering wind, water, and lightning variants. And with Minato's notes and Kushina's guidance, he had even begun learning the improved Hiraishin technique, though it drained enormous amounts of chakra and pushed his perception to its limits. Still, step by step, he was getting closer. One evening, as they reached the Hyuga compound gates, a clan guard rushed toward Hotaru with panic in his voice. "Hotaru-sama, Lady Hitomi has gone into labor and was taken to the hospital." Hotaru's eyes widened. She thanked the guard and vanished instantly into the trees. Kaito followed right behind her. "I'm coming too, why no?" Within minutes, they reached the hospital. Hotaru sprinted to the receptionist and was pointed immediately toward the delivery rooms. Kaito closed his eyes and extended his senses, feeling Hayashi, Hizashi, and Kushina nearby. Naruto's chakra was absent. Instead, he sensed the familiar signature of one of his own clones. He followed Hotaru straight to the hall where Hayashi and Hizashi waited grimly. "Father, is mother okay?" Hotaru asked in a trembling voice. Meanwhile, Kaito approached Kushina, who sat tensely in a chair. "Mom, what are you doing here? Where's Naruto?" Kushina exhaled shakily. "I was with Naruto in the park when we ran into Hitomi-chan and the kids. She suddenly went into labor. Hizashi helped us bring her here. As for Naruto, he's at home with Hinata and Neji. Clone-kun is watching them." Kaito nodded, absorbing the clone's memories with a brief flicker. Then the doctor emerged from the delivery room, face pale and defeated. "Lord Hayashi, we did everything we could. Lady Hyuga's condition is deteriorating. If this continues, she will not survive the birth. We may be able to save the child, but..." Hayashi's composure cracked. "There must be something, anything, you can do." The doctor only lowered his gaze. Hotaru staggered back, tears welling. Kushina gasped, hand covering her mouth in shock. Kaito's expression hardened. "I never saw Hitomi-san in the anime. She must have died during Hanabi's birth." His gaze fell to Hotaru, crying silently against her father's chest. "No. Not again." He closed his eyes, reached deep, and extended his Kagura's mind-eye. Hitomi's chakra was dimming, flickering like a dying flame. But there was still time. "There might be a way to save her," Kaito said. All eyes whipped toward him. Hayashi stepped forward, eyes narrowed. "What do you mean?" Kushina stiffened. She knew exactly what he was thinking. "Kai-kun, are you sure? Last time, you almost..." "I'm sure, Mom," he said softly, touching her cheek with a reassuring smile. "I won't let Hitomi-san die. Not when I can help." Kushina swallowed hard but nodded. Hayashi hesitated, until Hotaru grabbed his sleeve, eyes pleading. "Father, please. Let Kai-kun help. He can save her." Hayashi exhaled shakily and nodded. "Do whatever you can." A medic stepped forward in protest. "Wait. If 4 medics couldn't help her, what makes you think a kid?" Chakra chains burst from Kaito's back, wrapping tightly around the medic and dragging him aside. Kaito didn't even look at him. "Mom. Hayashi-sama. Hotaru-chan. I need your help." He shoved open the doors and dragged everyone inside, except Hizashi, whom he asked to guard the entrance. The moment they entered, Kaito placed his hand on the door and unleashed a wave of seals that spread across the walls and ceiling. Hayashi stared. "What is this?" "A privacy seal," Kaito said calmly. "What I'm about to do, only my family and the Hokage know." He approached Hitomi, whose breathing was shallow and weak. I have a rare Uzumaki Kekkei Genkai. Heal bite. If she bites down, I can convert my chakra into life force and heal her instantly. But she's too weak for one burst, so I'll give her a steady stream while you deliver the baby. Hayashi's eyes widened. Hotaru covered her mouth in shock. Kushina moved beside Hitomi, ready to help. Kaito gently placed his hand near Hitomi's lips. Lady Hitomi, bite down. The moment her teeth touched his skin, he poured chakra into her. Hours passed. Then, a newborn's cry filled the room. It's a girl, Kushina said softly as she wrapped the baby in blankets. Kaito increased the chakra flow, healing Hitomi fully before pulling his hand away. Her eyes fluttered open. May I see her? Kushina smiled warmly. Mother first. Hitomi cradled the newborn with trembling arms. Hanabi, she whispered. Her name is Hanabi. Kaito staggered back, sweat dripping down his face, breathing ragged from the chakra loss. Hotaru immediately threw her arms around him. Thank you, thank you. Kaito chuckled weakly. Hotaru, She pulled back, smiling through tears. Hayashi bowed deeply. I owe you my wife's life. And I will never speak of your Kekkei Genkai. Kaito waved him off tiredly. I'm going to sleep now. Call a medic to confirm everything. A medic rushed in moments later. After a quick examination, he gasped. It's a miracle. All her vitals are perfect. Kaito ignored the commotion, gently tugging Kushina toward the hall. As soon as they stepped outside, she cupped his face in both hands. Kai-kun, are you okay? He gave her a tired smile. Hi. Just exhausted. And hungry. Her expression melted into warm affection. Then let's get you something to eat and put you to bed, my little hero. She glanced outside. Oh my, Kai-kun, it's already night. Come on, let's hurry home. And she pulled him along gently, her hand wrapped around his wrist as the two walked into the warm glow of the village lights. Kaito's eyes widened slightly as the realization hit him like a punch to the gut. A red-haired healer, or used by Kusa, with abilities good enough to fix broken bones and internal bleeding overnight? There was only one person that description could possibly fit. Karen. An Uzumaki. Just like him. Just like his mother. He kept his expression neutral, calmly bringing the cup of steaming tea to his lips as the two Kusanin continued chatting behind him, completely unaware that their careless words had just detonated a bomb inside his mind. The moment they stood and left, Kaito's gaze subtly shifted. And then he saw her. Sitting alone near the window, stirring her cup with a wooden stick, was a young girl with unmistakable crimson hair. Her bangs fell messily across her forehead, her eyes sharp and tired. Even wrapped in a dull cloak, she stood out, like a flare in a dark forest. That hair color. That chakra signature he could faintly feel even without Kagura's mind-eye. It was her. It had to be. Kaito swallowed hard and forced himself to breathe steadily. So they've already started using her. Just like in the anime. He quietly placed coins on his table and stood, pretending to stretch. He walked casually, slow enough not to draw attention, until he passed near her table. The moment he stepped closer, Karen's eyes flicked up. Suspicious. Calculating. Defensive. Just like Kushina had described wolves looking at her during her childhood. Kaito stopped beside her table and gave a polite traveler's smile. Mind if I sit here? Everywhere else seems crowded. Karen didn't answer for a moment. Her gaze swept over his clothes, his posture, his chakra, sharp as a knife. Eventually, she shrugged and nudged the opposite seat with her foot. He sat, quietly placing his tea down. Up close, the signs were even clearer. Her chakra reserves were huge for a kid her age, definitely Uzumaki. And there was a faint medicinal scent around her, likely from treating that fool earlier. Before speaking, Kaito gently tapped chakra into the ear clip hidden under his hair. A silent ping. Itachi. Hotaru. I found something. Possible Uzumaki. Gathering info. Don't respond unless needed. Itachi's acknowledgement came instantly, a steady, emotionless pulse. Hotaru's came a heartbeat later, warm and reassuring. Kaito's eyes returned to Karen. "You from around here?" he asked casually. Karen raised an eyebrow. "Why?" "Just making conversation. I'm traveling through and looking for information about a group that passed this way recently." "Plenty of groups pass through," she replied dryly. "You'll have to be more specific." Kaito chuckled softly. "Bandits. Or shinobi pretending to be bandits." That earned him a flicker, tiny, but noticeable, in Karen's eyes. A reaction. "So you do know something," Kaito said lightly, leaning back. Karen clicked her tongue and looked away. "TCH. I didn't say that." He didn't push. Instead, he took a slow sip of tea, keeping his chakra calm and harmless. "It must be tough," he said quietly, his tone softer than before. "Having abilities that everyone around here wants to use." Karen froze. For the first time, she looked at him with more than suspicion. There was confusion, fear, and something else, recognition. Kaito's lips curved gently. "You're not the only one with red hair, you know." Karen's breath hitched. Her fingers tightened on her cup. Kaito kept his voice steady, low enough that only she could hear. "You're Uzumaki, right?" Karen flinched as if struck, eyes widening, walls immediately rising, breath shaky. Who are you?" she whispered, her voice a mix of fear and hope. "How do you know that name?" Kaito simply smiled, lifting a finger to his lips. "Relax. I'm not your enemy." Karen stared at him, heart pounding loud enough that Kaito could almost sense it. Outside, through the window, the clouds drifted lazily. Inside, a silence thick as tension wrapped around the two redheads. And for the first time in her life, Karen wasn't alone. One of the kusanin asked, "Hey, Sanji told me that you were injured pretty badly in your last mission just a few days ago." The other kusanin replied, "Hi, I broke my arm and had pretty bad internal bleeding." Kusanin 2 frowned. "Huh? Then how are you sitting here like nothing happened?" Kusanin 1 snorted. "Oh, that. My injury was serious enough that they used that red-haired bitch's body for healing. Say what you want about her, but her healing ability is top tier." The casual cruelty in the man's voice made Kaito's grip tighten around his cup. A faint crack formed on the porcelain. A red-haired woman, with a heal-bite ability, used by Kusanin. There was only one answer. Shit. Karen. Kaito's blood ran cold. Not just Karen, her mother. And the reminder hit him so hard he cursed himself silently. How the hell did I forget about Karen and her mom? I have the exact same ability. How could I forget something this important? He closed his eyes, forcing himself to recall everything he knew. Karen's mother sought asylum in Kusa sometime after or during the Third Shinobi War. She healed the entire village until they drained her dry. She died from overuse of heal bite. And the moment she died, they moved on to Karen. Exactly like in canon. His cup cracked again. Kaito took a deep breath. Okay, panicking won't help. If he was healed a few weeks ago, Karen's mother is likely still alive. Barely. I need a plan. He set the cup down and made his decision almost instantly. I need to infiltrate the hidden grass. Karen and her mom lived on the outskirts, somewhere isolated. His jaw clenched. Fine. I'll tail these two idiots. They look like they're heading back to their village after their mission. Karen's life, her entire tragic childhood, flashed through his mind. A little girl, kind and timid like Hinata. Used until she broke. Clinging to Sasuke in canon because he was the only one who ever treated her like a human being. Kaito felt anger simmer under his skin. This time, not happening. He finished his tea and slipped out of the shop. The moment he stepped into an alley, he formed a half-ram sign and activated his stealth seal, his body fading into the shadows. A clone materialized beside him. "You continue the mission," Kaito ordered quietly. "The real me is heading into Kusa to get Karen and her mother out." The clone nodded and disappeared. Kaito pulled out a blank black mask and a hood from his pouch. He slipped them on, becoming nothing but a dark silhouette in the night. Through Kagura's mind's eye, he watched the two Kusa shinobi finish their drinks. Night settled over the village. An hour passed before the Kusa nin finally exited the tea house. Finally, Kaito muttered. Any longer and I'd have just kidnapped them for intel. The two shinobi headed toward the forest, tree-hopping toward their home village. Kaito followed silently, trailing them from a full kilometer away while maintaining perfect sensory lock with Kagura's mind's eye. After nearly an hour, the hidden grass village came into view. Kaito stopped at the edge of the forest, closing his eyes. No sensory barrier. Good. Plenty of guards. But nothing I can't handle. He exhaled slowly. Hiraishin would make this easier. But I can't rely on incomplete mastery. He moved toward the eastern wall, lightly guarded. 3 clones appeared silently, each slipping into the darkness. One by one, the guards vanished without a sound. Kaito didn't leave bodies unattended. His clones dragged them into shadows and then transformed into perfect copies, taking their stations. Kaito slipped over the wall like a ghost. Phase 1. Complete. Now, find Karen and her mother. A clone appeared beside him. Both shot off in opposite directions. They scoured the outskirts, dilapidated houses, poorly repaired roofs, broken fences. Exactly the kind of place Karen and her mother would be forced to live. Then, Kaito stopped. A house. Small. Isolated. Empty. His stomach twisted. Damn it, he muttered. He threw a storage scroll to his clone. Search the house. Seal anything they own. Without waiting for a reply, Kaito sprinted toward the center of the village, the hospital. No, no, no. Please don't be too late. Not again. His heart pounded as he moved, using stealth and shadows to avoid every patrol. But just hours earlier that day, the noon sun beat down on the hidden grass village. In a shabby home on the outskirts, a little red-haired girl stood between the doorway and a Kusa shinobi twice her size. I told you she's not feeling well, she shouted, trying to close the door. The shinobi shoved it open effortlessly, knocking the girl back onto the floor. I said she's needed at the hospital, he snapped. Karen pushed herself up, trembling with anger. She can't walk right now. A violent cough echoed from the bedroom. Karen's mother emerged, pale, holding the doorframe. Cough, cough. It's all right, Karen. Karen spun toward her in panic. No. You said you weren't feeling well. The Kusa shinobi growled. Hurry up. Karen's mother knelt beside her, gently stroking her cheek. We have to help, Karen. If we refuse, we'll be thrown out, she whispered. Karen's lip trembled. But she was pulled into a tight hug. It's okay. Mama will be right back. Be a good girl, okay? Karen watched helplessly as her mother walked away. She waited. And waited. The sun set. The moon rose. She waited still. Footsteps approached. Karen glanced up, hopeful, only to see the same shinobi. Stand up, he ordered. Where is my mother? Karen asked, voice shaking. He didn't answer. He just grabbed her hand and dragged her along. Karen struggled, crying. Where is she? Let me see her. No answer. Until they reached the hospital. There was an attack, the shinobi said flatly. Lots of casualties. Your mother alone wasn't enough this time. Karen froze. Then, movement in the corner of her eye. Through an open door. Her mother. Motionless on a bed. Her arm hanging off the side. Covered in bite marks. Mom! Karen screamed, breaking free and sprinting into the room. She grabbed her mother's hand. Cold. Her knees buckled. Mom, no. Mom. But the shinobi yanked her by the shirt, dragging her away. No. Stop. That's my mom, she sobbed, kicking and thrashing. We don't have time for this. She failed, so now you're taking over, he said coldly. The medic nin nearby glanced at Karen. This child? Can she even handle that? She's her daughter. Same ability, the shinobi said. Karen tried to run, but the medic seized her wrist and pulled her toward a dying shinobi covered in blood. No. Let me go. Please, please don't. The medic forced her hand forward. Bite, he instructed the injured shinobi. The man sank his teeth into Karen's arm. Her scream echoed through the room. And no one cared. As the injured Kusa shinobi bit down on her arm, Karen cried out, her small body trembling. His teeth dug into her skin as she tried to pull away, but the medic nin held her firmly by the wrist, forcing her to stay still. Tears streamed down Karen's face as she looked away, sobbing helplessly. Then, suddenly, the pressure disappeared. Karen blinked, confused, turning back toward the wounded man. The Kusa shinobi who had been biting her froze, eyes wide. A masked, hooded figure stood behind him, a blood-stained tanto buried straight through his back and out his chest. He hadn't even had time to scream. The medic nin staggered backward in shock, releasing Karen immediately. Who are? He couldn't even finish. The hooded figure flickered. A blur. A flash of steel. The medic's head hit the ground before his body did. In the span of a heartbeat, the masked shinobi vanished and reappeared at the far end of the room. Then again, and again, moving faster than Karen's terrified eyes could follow. Bodies dropped around her, one after another, cut down before they even understood they were under attack. Karen stumbled backward, falling onto her hands and knees as the last medic hit the floor. Her breaths came in ragged gasps, her tiny frame shaking violently. The severed head of the first medic rolled toward her and stopped inches from her knee. She whimpered, a small, broken sound. Then she froze. The hooded shinobi stood in the center of the room, surrounded by corpses. His blooded tanto dripped onto the floor, each droplet echoing in the sudden, suffocating silence. The last Kusa ninja, the one who dragged Karen here, stared at the carnage, stunned. Panic overtook him, and he turned toward the door, ready to scream for help. But it was already too late. The hooded figure flickered, appearing in front of him. With a single brutal thrust, he drove his tanto straight into the Kusanin's chest. The man choked on his blood, eyes wide in horror as the blade twisted once before being ripped free. His body fell limply to the ground. The hooded shinobi flicked the blood off his blade and sheathed it in one smooth motion. Only Karen remained alive. Her heart pounded in her ears as she backed against the wall, trembling violently. Please, don't hurt me," she whispered, curling into herself. "I didn't do anything." The masked shinobi slowly turned toward her. His footsteps echoed. Karen squeezed her eyes shut, crying harder. Please don't hurt me." The shinobi knelt down beside her. His voice came out soft, far gentler than she expected. Hey, it's okay. I'm not going to hurt you. Please don't cry." Karen hesitated, peeking up through her tears. The hooded ninja slowly lifted his mask and pushed back his hood, revealing a young face framed by blonde hair and kind eyes. "Kaito. My name is Uzumaki Kaito," he said gently. "We're from the same clan. Why no? I'm here to rescue you." Karen blinked at him, stunned. Rescue me," she whispered. Kaito nodded and rolled up his sleeve, showing her a faint bite mark. "I heard about a red-haired woman with healing abilities like mine. When I realized who it was, I came to help." Karen's eyes widened at the mark, recognition and disbelief mixing with her tears. Kaito gave her a gentle smile. "What's your name?" "Okay, Karen," she murmured. Kaito nodded. "Karen-chan, are you hurt? Let me check." She shook her head weakly. Kaito's heart tightened. He already knew what she'd say next, but he asked anyway. "Karen, do you know where your mother is?" Her lip trembled. Tears spilled down her cheeks again. She's dead," she whispered. "They killed her." Kaito closed his eyes, guilt twisting in his chest. "If only I had remembered sooner." He rested a hand gently on Karen's head. "I'm sorry. Truly." After a moment, he asked softly, "Karen-chan, can you show me where she is?" Karen nodded silently and took his hand. Kaito placed his other hand on the floor, weaving signs. A seal spread across the room, destroy on leaving, smoke suppression, and scent disruption combined. He donned his mask again, handing Karen an ear clip. She stared at it. What is this? It hides your chakra, Kaito explained. No one will sense you. He knelt down. Climb on my back. It'll be faster. She hesitated only a moment before clinging to his neck. Kaito held her legs securely and flickered out of the room. They arrived at the morgue-like room where her mother lay. Karen rushed to her, collapsing beside the bed. "Mama," she whispered, hugging the lifeless body. Tears soaked into the sheets. Kaito stood beside her, his throat tight as he looked at the bloodless, bite-covered woman. "Oh, I'm sorry," he said softly. After a moment, he knelt and gently lifted Karen from her mother, speaking softly. "We have to go, Karen-chan. They'll notice the silence soon." She nodded shakily, wiping her eyes. "Gee, goodbye, Mama," she whispered before stepping back. Kaito laid her mother gently on the floor and unsealed a storage scroll. Karen sniffed. What are you doing?" "I'm taking her with us," Kaito said quietly. "She deserves a proper burial." With a final hand sign, the body vanished into the scroll. He turned to Karen again. "Come on. Up we go." She climbed onto his back again, holding him tightly. Kaito flickered. They reappeared on a rooftop. He formed a hand sign. The rooms he had marked erupted in flames, burning away every trace. And with another flicker, they left the hidden grass village behind, just as alarms began echoing in the distance. Minutes later, Kaito and Karen reached the forest border. A clone joined them, handing a scroll to Kaito before dispersing to create false trails. At the rendezvous point, Itachi and Hotaru waited by a small campfire. Hotaru sighed as she deactivated her Byakugan. No sign of Kaikun. Itachi poked the fire. He probably got sidetracked. We'll give him more time. 20 minutes later, Kaito landed silently beside them, Karen asleep on his back. His expression was calm, but heavy. "Sorry I'm late, guys," he said quietly. Hotaru and Itachi waited near the border of the land of fire and the land of grass, the small campfire crackling softly between them. They had regrouped at midnight after scouting for traces of the bandits, but more than an hour had passed, and there was still no sign of Kaito. Hotaru finally exhaled and let her Byakugan fade. Nothing. No sign of Kaikun anywhere. She glanced at Itachi, worry tightening her features. "Do you think something happened?" Itachi nudged the firewood with a stick, his expression unreadable but calm. "It's possible he got sidetracked. Let's wait a few more hours. If he doesn't return, we'll start searching." Hotaru nodded reluctantly, settling back by the fire. 20 minutes later, a quiet flicker broke the silence, and Kaito landed beside them, a small sleeping girl draped over his back. His face was serious. "Sorry I'm late, guys." Hotaru and Itachi exchanged a look, then followed Kaito as he carried the girl to his tent. Hotaru stepped beside him, whispering, "Who is she, Kaikun?" Kaito didn't answer right away. He gently tucked the child into his bedding, created a shadow clone to guard her, and motioned for both teammates to follow him a short distance away from camp. Only when they were far enough did he speak. "Her name is Karen," he said quietly. "Uzumaki Karen." Both Itachi's and Hotaru's eyes widened at her surname. Kaito continued, voice heavy. "I overheard two Kusa Shinobi earlier. They were talking about a red-haired woman being used to heal injured grass ninja. I understood immediately." Itachi's gaze sharpened. "You infiltrated the hidden grass village." Kaito's eyes flashed. "What was I supposed to do? Leave her there? They killed her mother, used her until she collapsed. Then they turned to Karen. She's 5. His voice trembled with anger. "They forced her to heal hundreds of shinobi every day. Her arms, her shoulders, her neck, every inch covered in bite marks. He showed them the faint bite on his wrist. It's our Kekkei Genkai. Heel bite. Karen and her mother had the same ability as me. Hotaru stepped closer and placed a hand on his shoulder. Kai-kun, you couldn't have known, she whispered gently. Kaito looked away, jaw tight. If only you knew. Itachi sighed softly. I wasn't criticizing you for saving her. I'm just surprised you pulled off an infiltration of a hidden village. If you had been caught. I know, Kaito muttered. Roguenin. War. Everything. That's why I used a stealth seal. Disguised myself. Eliminated anyone who saw me. I covered every track. He looked between them. It's better if no one knows I infiltrated Kusa, not even Lord Third. Itachi nodded. Then it stays between us. Hotaru added, we can say we found Karen-chan in the bandit camp. Prisoners or captives, something believable. Exactly, Kaito agreed. Speaking of which, were you two able to find the bandits' location? Hi, Itachi said, crouching and sketching a crude map in the dirt. One of my crows found them 20 kilometers west. The group is large, led by rogue shinobi. Hotaru asked, how many? 3 shinobi, Itachi said. 1 jonin, 2 chunin. Kaito considered the map. If we move now, we can ambush them before dawn. Hotaru nodded. I'm ready. So am I, Itachi replied. Kaito gave a final glance toward the tent. We'll leave Karen here with one of my clones. She'll be safe. And with that, Team 11 flickered away into the night. And that wraps up today's episode of What If Naruto Had a Big Brother. Kaito's journey is only getting more intense, and the future of the ninja world is changing with every step he takes. If you enjoyed this episode and want to see what happens next, make sure to hit that like button, share the video with other Naruto fans, and subscribe to the channel so you never miss an update. Drop your theories in the comments. I love reading them. See you in the next episode.